So building off of what he said, we did not get into Caruso on that show. His name comes up, and we don't dive deep into Caruso that often. He would be the perfect role player. Like to me, he's the perfect role player on
Chicago
almost
just has to come to their senses, and nobody expects.
But they
that to
said
happen.
they're still in win mode now. The report said last week.
Win 35 games?
I don't know.
No,
wasn't me.
Yes, the answer is yes. All Chicago wants to do is get to at least one playoff series, get the ticket receipts for being a playoff team. I said it on the show. They were a play-in loss away from having the number 1 overall pick. And if they don't come to their senses after that, like how thin the margins are between being a worthless team that like nobody really cares about and a team that, hey, maybe you have some future upside, maybe you can build something. I don't know when they're ever going to wake up and figure that out.
They're in win now mode. They said, the report said also they were still looking to bring back DeMar DeRozan as well. You're starting to get these highlights now of Lonzo Ball back on the floor doing basketball activities. So to your point, maybe they are still thinking that way, and that's where they are going to stick.
I think for them to come back to reality, one of two things has to happen. Either they change their management, which I don't think is going to happen now. It would have already happened if it were. Or DeRozan goes elsewhere, and they have to face a rebuild, look it right in the eye. Until that happens, they're going to try to keep their job, which means winning 35 to 38 games, making the play-in, maybe something unexpected happens, and they can sell playoff tickets.
Is DeRozan still off your list? Not type of player like Aaron Gordon, but is he off your list as a
he might be like plan H, maybe, but yeah, he's pretty far down.
We're gonna have to
list.
do a show that's like ranking all the plans
A through Z,
A to Z, right through the alphabet. So on the Caruso front, though, he is the Gordon-esque player in the sense that he will come here and do every single thing that is like hey, nobody else wants to do it. I will. I'm going to attack that guy at the point of attack.
He does miss a lot of games.
He does. Well, because part of it's he just plays through out of his shoes. And so plays a physical brand of basketball. Actually had a really good shooting season last year. Do you guys... If you had to guess, blind guess, what did he shoot from three last year on almost 5 attempts per game?
I think it was right around 40, wasn't it?
38.
40.8%. Okay. So almost 41% from three. Now,
he doesn't brick threes, Money Mar.
He just doesn't take enough.
I would not expect that. Well, I mean, took almost 5 a game.
He
so
took
that
a lot more last year.
That's the best volume he's ever had in his career and the best best efficiency in like a real season. He shot 48% in 25 games 4 or 5 years ago, which I don't really care about that. But to Derek's point that he loves to make on the show about part of the way you solve the rebounding issue is to have guys who don't get beat so easily on the perimeter. And so that way Joel Embiid is not chasing people around and playing that cat and mouse game in pick and rolls and having to play the middle ground there and then also go rebound the ball. It's allowing your big to play like a big around the rim as a rebounder, or your starting power forward as well, making sure those guys are around the rim. Alex Caruso helps you do that. Alex Caruso is happy being in that complementary secondary role. He's a good transition player. He's a good cutter, understands spacing. He's an excellent player, and for all those reasons, he's a high-cost guy in terms of the trade market. I'm fairly confident, I would say. The Sixers made attempts to get him, or at least made phone calls to try to get Alex Caruso last season, and they were told, just like everybody else, we are not open for business. It doesn't matter how comical your offer is. Alex Caruso is not moving. And so I keep bringing him up as like hey, you sign Paul George and you have this draft capital to move. I would move some real assets to get Caruso in that scenario. It still rests on the idea that the Bulls will, I don't want to say come to their senses because he is a good player. Like you don't give him away for cheap, but come to their senses in the respect of cash in while you can. They have him
for one more year and you're going to be a shit team. What are you doing? It's really weird. Anyway, I do think there are a lot of pathways where like Caruso as a target makes a lot more sense in the summer than he did at the trade deadline next year because you have that certainty of what the other big move is. It's part of the reason why the Caruso or Markkanen question was a little bit odd is because one of them's a primary target, one of them's a secondary. But if your primary target that you end up getting might be a Paul George, might be a Brandon Ingram, then I think Caruso as a secondary target in those two instances makes a lot of sense. And maybe now that you know that you have Ingram or Paul George, you're willing to overpay more than you would have been willing to overpay at the trade deadline. But Chicago has to face reality, and you have to lock in that first target first.
We all silly like the mayor.